So, odds are, you probably don't know what Like Arrows is. Well, that's okay. We do now.
I didn't know for a while until you told me, like, the other day, and you said, hey, we should go see this.
You want to go see this? It's called Like Arrows. It's only showing for 2 nights. It is from the writers of War Room, and the guy who directed it played Newborn's father in the montage at the end of War Room, I believe so, and he also made, like, I believe an anti-birth control documentary. So anyway, that'll strap yourself in for Like Arrows. First of all, when we get to the theater, it's very, very packed, and there was a lot of flannel in the auditorium, and you could kind of tell what sets of flannel were going to which movie. So like 90% of the people in there were seeing Avengers. So if they had on flannel over a t-shirt, backwards hat like me, you're in Avengers. If you're over the age of 50, you're wearing some flannel, tucked in, dad jeans. You were in the theater that we were in.
Old people.
We looked out of place. Oh, hell, when you got up to go get a drink before the movie started, you missed the intro to the movie, in which there was more flannel. The movie got introed by a guy talking to the audience who looked like John Ratzenberger got fucked by the Brawny Man's wardrobe. Hey, that feels good.
Yeah, I had to go to the restroom really bad, and you were saying... I started talking to no one because I didn't realize you left. Because I started going up the stairs, and you said, what about that middle row? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Oh.
And then I kept on talking, and it looked like I was going crazy. Because I didn't realize you just bolted to the restaurant.
Well, honey, that's why you're at Like Arrows. Oh, I went to a restaurant? Yeah, I just popped over to Freddy's across the street to grab... She'll fill me in on what I'm gonna miss. It's okay.
Sorry.
This movie is 50 years long. No, yeah, it takes place over the course of 50 years, but it's so slow, it's 50 years long. And by the way, when we got out of the...
ages.
We'll get to that. When we got out of the theater room across from us was playing Labyrinth. So I'm pretty sure this movie is so slow, we went back in time. We're in the 80s now, honey. This movie...
Your favorite decade.
This movie is... For people who, I don't know, thought Boyhood was too confusing. Like, I don't get it. How's the actors aging?
Oh, were you confused in this movie, or were you just confused?
No, I'm saying this movie is for people who thought Boyhood was too confusing for them. It is a movie that nothing happens in this film, man. Like, it's 50 years of things kind of working out relatively fine, and in those 50 years, it is always 2018.
I was kind of confused why they stayed together for so long. They clearly had issues, and also had 3 other kids after the first baby. That was an accident.
The movie is about this couple who, in the opening scene of the movie, she's pregnant and they decide to get married. And that's the movie. It is them raising their kids over... It spans across 50 years. And you just kind of see what... I don't know. Again, it's like watching Boyhood, only you take out, like, the abuse subplot and the other stuff going on and replace it with... I don't know, she snuck out of the house once.
Yeah, I mean, there were some things that, because the mom is just, she was the one in the beginning saying that she didn't know if she was ready for this, and she was all freaking out about it, and so she starts, raising a child, and, because it was an accident, and they're like, let's get married, which, by the way, that never works out.
No, it did in this movie!
Yeah, in a fantasy world. Maybe, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the time, getting married over an accidental pregnancy is not the answer. It'll solve all of our problems.
Well, maybe that was one of the things on their prayer wall at the end. But I think this movie might be in the same continuity as War Room. It's from the same writers. the movie, after making Jesus Bro, a movie like this, I keep waiting for parody to happen, because this movie aesthetically looks exactly like Jesus Bro does. It even has a lot of the same tropes we used in that movie, between, like, the black friends who only really show up and function just to give advice to
advice.
Like, he comes in, he doesn't have a basketball in this movie, but he comes in just throwing a football up in the air to himself.
Man, I don't have a life. Let me just give you some advice.
Hey man,
Bye.
let me tell you, the apple does not fall far from the tree.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Wow!
It's changed now.
The first time it shows the black lady in the movie, she says to the girlfriend, she says to the wife, "Psh, y'all need some Jesus."
Yeah, she was giving an ultrasound of the baby, and then she just gives, like, advice through verses on the Bible.
No one really ages that much in this movie, especially time. It starts out in what is clearly modern day and ends in what is clearly modern day.
They had like a little thing that was for voicemails. They had that. I don't know what that was, but
that looked like something I could probably buy at Spencer.
I know.
That looks like, oh, I'm gonna make this futuristic movie, so I'm gonna grab that little globe that you put your hands on it and the pink lasers shoot out at you. Woo! The future! Move over, Space Mutiny! There's that. There's one guy who's driving to the location, and it looks like he's sitting in the passenger seat or the back seat, and they're trying to pass it off as if it's like a self-driving car, but it just looks like he's in, I don't know.
Like a taxi.
Yeah, and that's really about it. Everything else, from phones to cars to to what they're wearing, everything is just the same year. They are just stuck in one year for 50 years. And there's one part where it seems like in the original script it was probably supposed to start out in the 70s, because there's a line in the first batch of years where the kid goes up to the mom and says, "I want to play Frogger." And the mom's like, "What's that?" Like, "Oh, it's this great game where you're a frog and you cross the street." Meanwhile, she's pulling out a fucking iPhone. I'm like, I realize that people still play Frogger. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying in a movie like this, where time seems to be in a coma, that the script probably started out at a much earlier year.
Yeah, I didn't care that much. I was just really bored. I wasn't trying to find plot holes or anything. I got really bored.
I was leaning over to you several times in this movie, like, you may not believe it, but right now it's supposed to be 2065.
And then I was like, I was trying to be quiet, but
the parents, the way that they aged these parents, like they put a little bit of gray in Dad's hair
but
every
not the
now
woman,
and then.
not the wife.
No, not her.
I wish I aged that well.
They just change her wigs a little bit. There's a part where she's yelling at her 18-year-old son, and it looks like she's his little sister and she's giving him shit for no reason.
Yeah.
And later the dad will have some gray in his hair, but then later in the movie, in a wedding scene, his gray is like gone. So it just looks like he's marrying his daughter. I have so many questions about this movie. It does have some hilarious moments in it. That scene where the 18-year-old son is going off to college, his mom, whoa, brace yourself, people. So his mom goes looking through his car, and again, I want to emphasize again, brace yourself, she finds an atheist book. Oh no!
It was, what was it called? I think it was said...
The Illusion of God.
Oh no, don't question anything about religion. And he wasn't even saying he was an atheist.
I'm just holding this book for a friend. No,
Well,
he says that because she also finds drugs in his car.
Like, was it marijuana?
Probably, I couldn't tell.
Oh no!
But she was more, I mean, she was upset about the drugs, but she seemed more upset about the atheist book, because she goes inside and she tells Dad, like, I think our son might be an atheist.
And then maybe they did this some other time that wasn't we didn't see, like, did they ever try and contact him? Because it's like 27 years later or something.
This movie...
And they seem like they might have done it, but I didn't...
Ooh.
They never... What?
I gotta pause it real quick, just to dump a little bit of footage, because I forgot to dump footage on here. So it's telling me we got 4 minutes left, and there's way more than 4 minutes to talk about this movie. So, anyway, the camera rudely interrupted you.
Yeah, they didn't seem to really talk to him or try.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, you guys are kind of shitty too.
The movie seems to suggest that him being, oh! I need that there. My balls are so hot in here.
Ew.
The movie seems to suggest that him being an atheist has caused them to not talk for 30 years.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back at the end, and he's got to be 48, I guess, or in his 40s by this point, maybe pushing 50, and he's still hung up on this. Like, he's really apologetic. He's got his own kids, and his own kids who look to be... his own son is now married, so his own son is probably in his 20s by this point, and is just meeting the grandparents for the first time. So I guess 20 years of their grandson's life, they never talked to them, met him, I guess just because... Ronnie's an atheist.
Or maybe an atheist. He doesn't ever say it.
Oh no,
directly.
he at the end he says when he's doing his whole apology speech, he said he was because he was trying to impress his college professors and he wanted to feel smart.
Okay,
and then on the prayer wall at the end they write answered prayer. Ronnie has come back to the Lord.
I kind of just zoned out towards the
Why?
end. Because at the end, every single child of these main characters, four people, make a really, really, really long speech. And it happens 4 times.
The climax of the movie is at this anniversary event for the two parents. They're celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, and their kids have gotten together to give them these like plaques with these speeches that they've written, all of them containing the same jokes. Like, well, they told me in secret I was the favorite. it's that every single fucking time.
You just turned into a cartoon.
Oh, sure, yeah, because the audience wasn't doing the same thing in that theater.
We have to talk about that later. God.
One son gets up, gives a giant speech about his parents, and then the daughter does too, and I'm sitting there like, oh my god, they're gonna do that for all 4 of them. It's gonna be like a 5-minute speech for like from all 4 of their kids.
Yeah,
and
that's when I started shaking my leg a lot, and I started...
Same here.
And I was like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think that it was kind of weird where the mom isn't appreciated as much? Because she was there for them for, like, the first 20 years, maybe? Sorry. That looked like a spider. I'm afraid.
What are your thoughts, Sid?
Sorry. She was there for, like, the first 20 years, and...
Sure.
The dad is the one that gets appreciated way more. Where he's, like, at work, and he's like, oh, sorry, I can't take care of the kids, I can't help you. And he does that for the first, like, 15 or 20 years of these children's lives.
He goes like, I'm a man, what do I know about cooking? I'm like, again, is this originally written to take place in, like, 1981?
They didn't dress like it, but
no,
yeah.
It was definitely not taking place in 81, but it feels like in certain parts of it, that's maybe how it was originally written.
Yeah, and I just thought later on, Katie, I think, or Kate.
The daughter?
Yeah, she just
wife?
Was like, oh, thank you so much, Dad. And, and then, not to Mom, but to Dad, the one that jumped in and found God, like, 20 years later.
Well, Dad...
Where this mom is, like, breaking her back and everything just to clean up after them and take care of them, feed them breakfast, make them dinner, and then the dad will pop in every once in a while.
Well, Dad was the better actor.
I just thought it was kind of gross. I just didn't like that.
Oh, don't worry. The old couple sitting in front of me loved the part where at the end, the mom is now like in her 70s or 80s, is doing the dishes at their anniversary event.
Right.
And doing dishes at the anniversary event, and then she goes like, well, you know, that's just what I do. Like, you know, I feel like I gotta wash these dishes. And the old guy in front of me looks at his wife and goes, that's just like you.
Oh, I didn't see that. They were right in front of me. Speaking of the audience, there would be no joke, and they would still laugh.
Yeah, they would be like, I'm pregnant.
And even if there was like kind of a joke, it wasn't funny. Yeah, she would be like, there would be no joke whatsoever, and it would be kind of serious. I forgot which one.
Well, I was originally going to call my speech, I was the favorite, but I don't want to do it in front of her. Audience.
Well, there would be like, there was a serious part. I forgot what it was, but they were laughing. I was like, not serious, or I'm like, oh god,
yeah.
What's gonna happen? It was like kind of an emotional scene or something, like something that clearly was not a joke. And they were laughing. And I'm like, you guys are okay.
I have no son.
And
Stupid audience.
And when the dad says, because one of the kids is like a cook, and he has like a natural talent for it, and he was like, well, tastes good, but I'm normally used to women cooking food, or he says something like that, and
I'm not used to men being able to know how to cook.
It's kind of girly or something. I was like, you know this is 2018, right?
Oh, according to that scene, it was like 2041.
We have gone nowhere.
That's really the gist of this movie. We're just kind of stuck right now.
That would be my personal hell.
Yeah. There is a lot of stupid shit like that in this movie, but it also hits on something too that this movie like never brings up, and it's that two of their kids are obviously gay.
Yeah, you leaned over to me and you said,
is it just me?
Yeah.
Or is every single one of their kids gay? And I'm like...
Well, the girl, I thought she had, like, short hair, like a flannel on. That doesn't mean you're gay, don't get me wrong. But she's
when she came in there and she was 12 and she walked through, I was like, this kid is just walking in here like she's a walking, talking Tumblr account.
Yeah.
And then the son in the fight where she finds the atheist book and everything, I thought like it was gonna get into like, oh, he's also gay or something like that, and it never does. But it's like I'm having Clay Walsh flashbacks here. Like, what is? And then with the one kid who's cooking and he's like, no, I put too much roasted garlic in here or something like that. I'm like, they are really. I'm like arrows my ass.
Like, it was like the Sherman. What's his name? From Big Bang Theory?
Sheldon?
Sherman. Sheldon. Sorry, I don't watch that show because I hate it. So, Sheldon, he's kind of like a Sheldon.
He was like young Sheldon.
Yeah, where you're like, I know he's not gay, but he seems gay, kind of thing. And then when
he's older in the 50 years in the last batch of scene, and he's like probably 45 or something like that, he's very single.
It's like, time has not been kind to you.
I'm like, you're just not going to address this, are you, movie? That your son is clearly 100%. is 100% gay. Like, It was also very obvious in Old Fashioned as well, but I'll say, like, well, at least, you know, that was the case, that was definitely the case in Old Fashioned, but at least in this, the guy was more likable than Clay Walsh, I'll give him that, like.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of people at the theater, but they were really old. But yeah, they kind of sucked, and I would fake laugh when they did. I'd be like,
You were mocking them.
I was mocking them. Yeah, whatever, I don't care. They're old. They're gonna die soon anyway.
Aw, I'll be sad if this is their last movie.
They liked it, so
I
it won't
guess
be sad for them.
they stayed, like, because there's a Q&A thing going on right now in there, and I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, no.
I don't need to see the Kendrick brothers talking. I named Doug's character in Jesus Bro Kendrick after them from this movie, so I don't need to see them talk.
Well, positive things about the movie.
Yeah, I can actually name a couple things.
It actually has Christian values in it.
I mean, yeah.
I think so. Like, when they adopt the Asian girl, and she didn't have a home, she was an orphan, and they adopted her, and she didn't really have, I thought that was Christian.
But then it goes and does, like, stuff you would see in, like, a PSA from, like, the late 80s, early 90s, where, like, our son might be an atheist, dun dun dun, and they never talked to him for, like, 30 years.
Yeah, that was stupid. That was not Christian.
It does things like that. Like, the movie is... It almost makes me miss War Room, because War Room philosophically is a way worse movie than this, but in War Room, at least it was just batshit fucking insane.
Yeah.
This movie, there's a lot you could make fun of about this movie. I could easily do an episode on this movie, but there is crazier shit that happens in War Room. War Room has her barricading herself in her closet from her verbally abusive husband so she can pray that he gets food poisoning so he won't cheat on her, and then God gives him food poisoning.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, spoiler alert.
No, you ruined it for me.
War Room is absolute fucking insanity. This one is really just
boring,
lame. There's a lot of stuff you could easily make fun of about this movie. Very easily. But, again, something like Saving Christmas, something like War Room has an extra dose of insanity to it, which this movie kind of sprinkles in here and there, but more so on a technical aspect is this movie crazy. This movie is technically inept as fuck. And the one positive thing I could say about it is some of the acting is not that bad.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The guy playing the dad, I actually thought he did a pretty good job. The kids were fine, I guess,
sometimes,
but here's
there
why.
was like 5 actors for each kid.
My bar, though, on bad kid acting in one of these is, like, the lowest of the low is, like, fucking Let There Be Light. And this was way above that in terms of the kid acting.
Yeah.
Like, these kids didn't seem like, stand-ins for a community theater version of Goodnight Mommy. So there's that. When the lead characters are actually like 70 or 80 years old, it is older people playing them. They switch out the actors there because I guess they ran out of makeup budget. But they do a stupid thing though where like they dress them up as like today's old people. Bless you.
Excuse me.
They dress them up like today's old people. Bless you again. So it comes across like, okay, so when you see an old person, they're dressed kind of not unlike they've probably sort of dressed most of their lives. This movie looks like I'm gonna be dressing like this until I turn 70 years old, and then I decide to start dressing like Howdy Doody for no reason, or I start looking like I lived through the Depression.
Yeah. I started seriously losing interest. I mean, I was losing interest to begin with, but
You started out with interest in this movie?
I kind of did a little bit. I
What?
wanted to see how bad it would be.
Oh, okay. Well, I hear you there, yeah.
But when it got to every single child, and like when it got to the 50th anniversary part, that is where I was just like, oh God, get this over with.
That's when my legs started shaking.
That was how I was.
That's like when my legs started shaking.
Because you're just waiting for every single child to make their speech, and each speech was like 5 minutes. It felt like, at least it felt like it. And there's 4 of them, so I'm like, oh God, we have to wait for the next one.
I'm too ADD for this. I can't listen to these long fucking speeches.
Yeah, and I think someone was crying.
That was you, honey.
No, I'm congested, so I kind of keep sniffling, and it looked like I was crying.
I leaned over. I'm like, "Are you crying? It's okay, honey. It's okay. You can cry.
This is so touching.
It's very sad. It's
I relate
very sad.
to this very much.
It's okay. It's okay."
Yeah, it wasn't very good. I would say there's like maybe 1 or 2 Christian values there, but overall, it's just really lame, boring, and stupid.
This movie sucked. This movie sucked. If you want to see this out of complete curiosity to maybe get some laughs, there are some laughs that could be had in this movie, and they're going to be showing it again on the 3rd. I think they're going to be showing it on Thursday. So it's not, again, it's not the craziest one of these that you could end up seeing, but it's a mess. It's a mess. It is 50 years worth of nothing. This is just such a nothing movie. It makes Windy City look like the Blues Brothers.
I would rather watch Windy City.
Oh God, so would I.
Or God, what's it called?
God's Not Dead 3 was a better movie than this.
What's the one with Saul?
That's Windy City.
Oh, that's Windy City.
Yeah.
I thought it was called something else.
No. Are you confusing it with Independence Day 83?
Yeah, those are my 2 favorite reviews of yours.
No one's house blows up in this movie. God damn it. That's what should have happened. The wife just does the Diane Weist from the end of Independence Day 83.
I love that.
No, you bitch! Alright, any other final thoughts about this?
I have nothing else to say about this stupid movie.
No, me neither. You want to see it again, don't you? I'll take you on
Oh my
Thursday.
God, I was hiding it so well.
I know. I can read you, honey. Okay. Alright, everyone. I'll be back. There's some David Tennant movie coming out on Thursday that I've never even fucking heard of.
I want to watch it.
But I'll be there Thursday for that. Then Friday, Sarah and I are going to be at Overboard. So, later.
Bye.